On one trip out on the pier to do some mackerel fishing, Greg went with us. Now, several retired people buy a yearly ticket. It costs them $50, which gives them the privilege of fishing every day of the year if they like. With weather permitting, they usually do. And they really know how to fish. On this day, when the mackerel had just about quit running, the old-timers had been there for years, were not catching anything. One of the fellas, I don't know his last name, his first name was Mike, I cast overhead when I should have casted underhand. He made some remark about it, which Greg didn't like. One word brought on another between Greg and Mike. Greg noticed out of the corner of his eye, Mike took his fishing knife out of his tackle box and stuck it in his pocket. Greg thinking that maybe he might use or try to use it on him. He told him, he said, "Big boy, you better put that knife back in your tackle box or I'll throw you off of this pier." In a short time, Mike put his knife away. Greg stood there and caught 10 mackerel, big ones, and the old-timers did not catch any. They couldn't understand how a big curly-headed teenager could come out there and show them up like that. We had the best mackerel fishing that day we have ever had. On one of the trips that Chris made to Clearwater, on the last night, he decided that he and Karen would go out on the pier for one last night. All the bait he had was old cut bait from fish he'd cleaned. He took it out of the refrigerator. He didn't even change hooks. He had little treble hooks on his rods and reels. Karen was sitting in one bench with the baby singing "Old MacDonald Had a Farm." She had her line in, little treble hook with old cut bait on it. Chris was across on the other side in the bench with Kim, and he was fishing. All at once, a man fishing near Karen said, "Lady, I believe you got a fish." She said, "Oh, no." And all at once the line went, she called for Chris. Chris came over, took her line. That snook went up that line as far as it'd go. They kept working it back. Everybody got their lines out. Someone went into the bait house to get the net, dropped the net down, and pulled in a big 12-pound snook. Everybody said, "Well, what were you fishing with?" He said, "Just cut bait." "What kind of a hook you using?" "A little treble." So about 12 o'clock they came back to our house that night. They got us up out of bed, taking pictures, showing us this big snook. He cleaned this snook, put it in the freezer, and the next morning when they took off for Wheelersburger High, he had several pounds of good fish to take home. Chris will fish as long as he gets a nibble. He fishes all night. He will fish every day of his vacation. I've never seen anyone that likes to fish as well as Chris. And he's a good fisherman too. On the 24th, Ronnie and family are going to Myrtle Beach for a couple of days and nights. Then he's coming on down to Clearwater and spend the rest of the week with us. Naoma has to be back on her job on Monday. Chris is coming in about the 29th, but he wants to go out and get a motel on the beach where there's a pool for the first 2 days and nights, so Karen and the girls can swim. Then he's coming up and spending the rest of his vacation at our house. I hope to be able to go out with Chris and do some early morning fishing and also some night fishing. While it's cool, I can't get out in the heat of the day due to my breathing, but I will take my portable oxygen tank on every trip, so in case that I do need oxygen, I just plug the canola in my nose and breathe and fish at the same time. this little cart, I think, will be the berries. Our daughter, Diana Simpson, she and Larry have a little boy, Dale, born January 8th. He's a little over 2 years old. He's very smart, and he loves his papa. He always comes over. He's very polite, and he likes to watch Papa eat, watch Papa take his medicine, and he thinks the world of Papa. Diana loves to come up and visit with us. Larry works for a paint company. Diana is expecting again in October. We hope that she is successful in having the baby. We'll make them two. Dale is just a number one. Dale likes to play with little toy cars. He has several. He will play for hours with his cars. He can turn a somersault. He knows the names of several of the restaurants. He thinks a lot of Memo too. And he will get up on the bed with me while I'm taking my respirator, and he will write. I'll get him some paper and a pencil, and he thinks he is writing me a letter. But he always asks me if he can get up on the bed. Day before yesterday, Dale used his potty for number 2 for the first time. It tickled him to death. Papa gave him a nickel for it. At the present time, Greg, our son, is in the landscape business with Vic Wallace. They have a good thing going. Greg makes about $200 a week. They set trees, sod lawns. In fact, they have 2 banks over in Tampa. They mow those lawns. By the month, they get $200 a month for each bank. Most of their mowing is commercial. They now are in the business of setting trees. There's a big project starting in St. Pete. They're going down and talk to them next Wednesday. They have an appointment that they will furnish the trees, but their own men will put them in. This is much better. Greg thinks that they make more money and quicker that way. For the last few days, Vic has been away on a 10-day vacation. Greg has been in charge of the entire business. He goes over and stays at Vic's house at night to protect their equipment, their truck, their mowers, and everything. Then he comes over the next morning early for breakfast. Mom and I would love to have him here, but we know it's for his own interest because they've got a lot of money tied up in the equipment. Greg plays slow pitch softball, plays left field, and they're in a league. They play 2 nights a week, one night at Jones Field, one night at Tack Field. The wife and I go to see their game.
I'll take it. I
put my portable oxygen tank in the car, so just in case I would need it, I can use it. I have used it one time. He is a good softball player. In fact, he's leading his team in hitting. He's got a strong arm, and he loves to play. He also plays some basketball, and Greg is 23 years of age, 6'4½", weighs about 195 pounds. He has an excellent tan because he usually works in the landscape business without a shirt. He and Vic are doing real well. Vic and Greg grew up kind of together. Vic is 25, and he has his degree in landscaping. They played baseball together in the major leagues in the American Legion. Greg is an A number 1 boy. Jamie, son of Elsie and Jimmy, living in Huntington, is an engraver at Rogers Jewelers. He goes to Marshall University. About 2 years ago, Jamie engraved a medical alert bracelet for me with a message on paper on the inside. I decided I'd like to also to have a dog tag to bear with stating my disease. Today I've received it from Jamie. He did an excellent job engraving, all on metal. It shows that I need oxygen. I have pulmonary emphysema. It says to notify my wife, Inez L. Cremine, and my doctor, Lee Watkins Jr. of Clearwater.